Hi guys, Problematic Boy here with another build for Torchlight Infinite. Before we get into the build, a little housekeeping needs to be done. First off, as far as I know, Reap is still bugged. It might be a bleed specific problem. I don't want the comments to turn into something that is about whether it's bugged or not bugged. It's clearly not working as intended with what I was doing in that build. So I've also heard things about it not working well with Ignite, but let's just putting that out there so that anyone who watches this build might, who isn't aware of that would be aware of that. Okay. Second thing, I keep seeing in trade chat bleed crossbows that are not better than the legendary, and people are asking like 20 FE for them. So let's look at this bleed crossbow. This bleed crossbow is not better. It's not better than the legendary. This guy's asking 21 FE for it. Let me move my camera so you can see. 21 FE for the Conflict War crossbow. And this is bad. So if you've watched my Carino bleed video and you want to make a bleed crossbow, uh, and you don't want to make one and you have FE, don't buy this and try it out and think that you're actually playing the build, because this is complete dog shit. If you go for this mod, you don't ever go for base bleed. You go for flat fizz with knockback and the ominous mod. That's how you make this mod good, this T1 mod good. If you go for base bleed, you need plus projectile skill and generic physical damage to scale your bleed. So this is a very bad one. It's for 21 FE. This guy's trying to sell this piece of dog shit for 21 FE. And let's just show. This is the legendary, right? This is way better. Way, way better. It has way more base bleed. It can give you double bleed damage. It's just a better bow. And it's for how much? 1 to 3 FE, 5 FE. So don't pay, 400% more for something that's not even better than a legendary if you're gonna do that. Okay, so back to the build. Sorry, I spent 2 minutes on housekeeping. This is a build that is Flamejet dot Yoga. So this is what is space time elapse, and we are, I always get the two of the names confused, and we're just scaling the dot portions of the Flamejet. I'll run through the map real quick. It's just a T7. Like the Carino build, but unlike the Carino build, I'm going to be showing a T7 demonstration. Currently, my gear just is not good enough to do... I mean, it's good enough to, like, damage them enough to kill them, but it's definitely not good for T7 Traveler, and it's not good for, like, doing the T7 Planeswatchers. It's great for T7 mapping, though, and I'll show that off. And I'll say, unlike the Carino build, which I think the top end for Carino build and Bleed builds in general is T8 mapping with very good gear. I think if I get my gear very, very good on this character, it can probably do the T8 bosses. Maybe not Uber, because I don't have any experience with Uber, but probably not Uber. But, and also, as you can see, the movement is even worse than the Carino build, so you're basically relying on blurry steps and blink. I'm still also experimenting with talent options. I think I got the first two talents pretty much down. But it is a visually satisfying build. And it's also very easy to play. You put down your flame jet and you run around. That's all you do, and you get a bunch of fire ground effects. It's very very fun that way. You skill a lot of AoE. It's not a particularly fast clear, but it's enjoyable and it kills the things. I tried to juice this up with as much pack size as I could with cards beforehand. It's also a map that I like to run. Happy Turkey Day, by the way. This is like, what, gonna be like a 2-minute clear or something? Maybe more. But you're just putting it down and running around. That's pretty much it. Let's kill the boss so we can see that. Oh, there's a reap. Okay. I'll do the league mechanic. League mechanic's pretty fun to do on this build because you just set up a big volcano, fire Terra, and it just kills everything. And then I'll go into gear and talents after this map, of course. If these things ever want to like stop spawning, and well, we got more. It was a pretty big pack-sized map, so. All right, that's everything. Have a little coffee. Okay, so I'll do talents first. I think the right first two talents are God of Might and Warlord. I'm pretty convinced. You get Burnout here, which is just 30% more damage, and you get Ignore Enemy Fire Res, which opens up a curse for you that you don't have to use Elemental Destruction. You can use, I think it's better than Blazing Fire. You can use Scorch here. Warlord, I sort of go back and forth between Wildfire and Sweep. Wildfire is definitely what you want for damage. Sweep is just for area clear. One thing you have to keep in mind with Youga is that skill radius, it does apply 30% of skill radius to duration, and that's very important for the damage of the build. So this does give you some damage too, just not as much as Wildfire. Here we do True Flame. I am 90% convinced that AoE damage is not applied to dot. I mean, I could try this out at any point, but I don't think generic AoE damage applies to dot. I know the spell damage applies to the dot, and dot damage applies to the dot, but I don't think area damage does. I can always try it if I'm wrong. Someone in the video can let me know, and then if they're wrong, I'll get mad at them. But I will try it if someone tells me that area damage does affect it. Go Warlord. Hold on, let me actually show the talents. You want life and the stuff that affects the build. So fire, life, fire, life regain. Ooh, very good. Go down here. This is good because we're kind of hybrid, but not really. ES is good. Skill area, very good. Remember, skill area. I'll repeat myself. Skill 30% of your skill area. This is a great node, by the way. Double regain. 30% of skill radius is applied to the duration. So, very good. Go up here, get your fire skill level, get some affliction, and then come down here, get more skill area. So, very good. And then the third talent I'm experimenting with. I don't know if this is what I'm going to end up going with, but right now it's Magister. I really need to squeeze more damage out of my third talent, and I'm not sure what the highest damage option is. I have tried Psychic, I have tried Warlock, I have tried Magister, I have tried Druid, which does no damage, but it's very tanky, and I've tried Spirit Caller. So if anyone has suggestions for the highest damage Thane, if you have experience with this build, which not a lot of people do, because not a lot of people are playing it, it's me and one other guy, and I'm sorry to the one other guy. We'll take a look in the video. His gear is completely wrong. I think or he's playing something different. I don't know. I'll let other people be the judge of that. And by other people, I mean I will judge him, and then you can evaluate my judgment for yourself. Okay, so those are the talents. Here's the hero traits. I think these are the best ones to get because you get the skill radius one here, and this does what? This is just bad. You get skill area and then get skill effect duration. Skill effect duration is important because, yeah, get the affliction one here and then get this one here. Skill effect duration is important because we're using Reap Purification. Haha, I'm using Reap Purification. I'm using a belt that gives me Reap Purification. I think these belts are pretty good. It also has a Reap on it. And I think it is a superb choice because I don't think Psychic offers a lot of damage other than Reap Purification, and I think Reap Purification is the most important part of Psychic. So just getting it on a belt is really good because it frees up your talent options. Now, since we're using Reap Purification, skill duration really matters, and the duration of the Reap doesn't matter as much, right? Because it's always going to reap 80% of the additional remaining duration as damage. So, beefing up that duration with things like Pain Amp is good, and just having duration modifiers otherwise. I mean, I know I say duration is good and I have shortened duration. I'm using shortened duration because it just works out to be the most damage, right? You're losing 8% duration for 44% additional more. While we're on the skill page, we'll talk about it. We're using Flame Jet. Let's take a moment to talk about Flame Jet. I know I'm talking a little bit fast, but you can always pause. Um, Flame Jet is a complicated skill. This is another reason why people probably aren't playing it. Same thing as Bleed, is that on the surface, it's hard to build or hard to wrap your head around. There are three components to Flame Jet. There's the flame pool that you initially summon. This does 314 per second fire dot. Okay, it does that much fire dot. There's the projectiles that pop out of the flame pool. Those do spell fire damage. I mean, this is spell fire dot, but they do spell fire damage on hit to enemies. Then there's a third component where after the projectiles hit, they leave a dot pool that does about 1/3 of the damage of the flame pool. So you have these three components, and it's important to know that some things will only affect the projectile hit, and some things will only affect the dot. So as you can see, this is the dot build. We're only scaling the dot. So we only care about this dot and this dot down here. This dot is mostly for clear. It makes clear feel really nice because the projectiles will seek out and then make a flame pool under them. And if you have a lot of area, it'll make a big flame pool. So you probably saw that during the thing. But things like terror charges, these only affect... Okay, the terror charges only affect how many different enemies the projectiles seek. So if I have 3 terror charges and I use the skill, the projectiles will go towards 3 enemies. If I have 4, they'll go towards 4. As you can see, when you have so much area, it doesn't really matter if you have more terror charges. It's a pointless stat, basically, is what I'm trying to say for dot, because it doesn't matter if it goes out and hits another enemy. So here's what I'm currently using: Cataclysm, Pain Amp, Shorten Duration, Fire Explosion, Control Spell. I'm using Blurry Steps for movement speed, and I guess it gives defense too, especially with Obscure. With what we have, Obscure has almost 100% uptime, and sometimes it extends our Blurry Steps to the point where we're just blurred a lot of the time, taking less damage. With a lot of blur effect, we're using Blink, Mana Boil, and Solitating Circle. As I showed earlier, we have Obscure here. I'm using Deep Pain, Elemental Amplification, and Flame Imbue. Now, when you get the Ignite, you're getting another flame pool. So that is doing 121 per second fire dot. This build actually has 4 flame pools, all of which can be reaped. The total is reaped at the same time if they're if all 4 flame pools are under the enemy. So if we have a 121 second base fire dot from Flame Imbue, this is only used in clear. We have 2 here, right? We have the volcano flame pool, and then the projectile flame pool, the tinier flame pool. So we have 2 here, and we have a 4th, which is also only for clear, but you can also do this by spawning the seasonal mechanic on top of a boss and killing the enemies. So you can get both of these the two clear flame pools. Is for True Flame. Little note on True Flame: if a dot, this is like hard for PoE players to understand, because in PoE this effect is hit based and it's called Herald of Ash, but it's just the overflown damage. It's not overflown hit damage. So if you have a dot that does 1,000,000 damage and the enemy has 400k health, then that 15% of that 600,000 is going to be dealt over 4 seconds in a flame pool that also has an area. So we're scaling a lot of area, and it really helps with clear. Let's talk about gear a little bit, and then we'll look at this guy's gear, who I think is trying to do this build, but is doing a really bad job of it. And I really want to help this guy, but I don't want to like message him and be weird or anything. So we're using 2 wands. I think 2 wands is the best. They're ready to be ominous. They're not ominous yet, but the nice thing is for the prefixes, you can get 2 percentages, either elemental, spell, dot, or fire. So you have 4 options to go for tier 1 here. You just need 2 out of the 4. So here I have spell damage and dot. I have curse effect. I don't know about curse effect. This might just be bad. I might have to recraft this. Skill area, I think, is good on 1 wand. 1 wand, because it gives duration. It might even be good on both. I don't know. And then affliction effect, I think, is a decent way to scale the damage. Here I have Terra Charge Restoration Speed. I think this is useless as well, and I also think the Curse Effect is kind of useless. Maybe I should have Area on both wands. I think I'm going to recraft this one at least. And then Affliction Effect. Rain, spell damage. This one's not even close to being finished, and the core is bad because it's all I need. This Rain is just spell damage, erosion res, affliction effect. This Rain is actually kind of good. I'd like to keep that one. Here we have just a boot. I like having regen on at least one piece of gear. T1, the Reap Purification belt I mentioned earlier. Sunset Ripple, which only helps your clear. It kind of helps single target with the +1 main, but if you were concerned about single target, you would just put on an amulet with Reap on it and 2 active skill level, with probably a fire active skill level, if you can even do that. I'm not even sure if that works. I know it works on wands, and you can get life on it or something, or whatever res you need. This is purely for clear. I'm probably going to swap this out at some point with a better amulet. I even have a better amulet, but I just don't know how I feel about it. Gloves, you want Reap on him, and whatever res you need. I like having life regain. Chest isn't ready. I want to get Explode on the chest, and I'm not sure about what Restless I want for the suffix. Yeah, I want Explode on the chest. It just feels nice to have Explode, and the helmet's dog shit. So, gear is pretty bad right now, but we're sailing along and farming. And then, as to cap the video off, it's been a little bit of a long video. There's a lot of information to cover with Flamejet. I'm sorry. Also, if you've watched this far, you probably understand that I like to make fun titles in my video. Do not take the titles seriously and then feel like I've offended you when the video doesn't pan out. The title is probably going to be something like spectacular unknown Flamejet Youga demolishes content or something. Just have fun with it, please. And there's one guy in the Carino video who just did not understand. Okay, let's go to Space-Time Elapse. Let's go down here to active skill, and we're going to see what sort of not to do with this skill. There's only one other guy. He's level 94. Let's take a look at him. His name's Codeman Scorch. And he's got a lot of things going on here. First off, his talents are okay. This item, I don't think he gets beat by 2 wands, and this random Shadow Swamp Frost Terra probably is adding a bit of damage, but you're not scaling cold or erosion damage, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. This is scaling generic dot and giving affliction per second. Affliction inflicted per second is probably one of the worst mods, in my opinion. You don't need very much of it. You definitely don't need 50. You could get a rare rain that gives you like 20, and it would be just as fine. I think having 1 rain with 20 infliction inflicted per second is good. And then it just doesn't have any res on it, and it's reducing skill area, which is reducing his duration, which is reducing his damage because he's Reap Purification. Then he has this rain. This rain's fine. He has these, which I'm just not sure about. I don't even think he's getting focus from anywhere. He has this belt. Now, here's the thing where I'm not sure about the belt. I don't think area damage applies to the dot, so I don't think this is actually doing anything. It is giving him 80% skill area, which is good, but I just don't think this belt is good. I think I'd rather have Reap and free up a talent point. Also, don't message this guy or anything. Don't be mean to him. I want to help him. And then he has a Sunset Ripple. I got the idea from him, so thank this guy for using a Sunset Ripple. And then he has this. I think this is a decent clear mod to have maximum ground skills of the same type, but I don't think it stacks. And then he has this, which is maximum Terra quantity, which as I said before, is pretty useless. But this helmet, I guess, gives you skill area, which is good. And now let's go to the links, which I think are the worst part here. I think if you were gonna copy or whatever, like, watch out for this guy's links, because he's using added fire. This is only for the projectile hit, and he's trying to scale the. He's clearly trying to scale the dot here, but this does not do anything to the dot. He's basically running a 5 link. Even worse, I think he might be running a 4 link, because I have not confirmed, or I have not been able to tell if curse works either. It should, but I'm not really sure. And then he has a fire piercing Reap, which I'm not sure if Reap is the best to put on the main link if you have enough sources of it. I'm just not sure. And Control Spell is good. So I always see a lot of weird stuff going on here with the only other guy playing it. For some reason, I'm not being shown here. I don't know why. But probably because I'm on level 92. But that is the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Kind of a unique build. Like I said before, probably scales into T8 and doing T8 bosses, but not Uber. But right now, we're with our gear being bad. The gear is bad right now. We're just doing T7. I hope if you enjoy the build, or if you want to play a build that has no mobility but is very satisfying to clear with, that would be great. All right, you can catch me on my stream at twitch.tv/problematicboy. By the way, okay, bye. Oh, and like and subscribe, I guess, and comment if you're nice. Okay.